88.5 and KDIC.Grinnell.edu. I'm here at the Logan Memorial Union at the M Shop with some very special guests. Why don't y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves?
How you doing? I'm Derek Moss, bass drum and percussion.
Marla Blanc, Soul Rebel, snare drum.
Corey Payton, solo trombone.
Paul Robinson, trombone, boom.
That would be true.
Marla's other trumpet.
We'll figure out a better way to make this happen. We're going to be passing it around.
Julian Gossett, trumpet.
Cool. And all together, that's Soul Rebels. So, first of all, thanks for sitting down and talking. So,
Thank you.
with the newest album, Unlock Your Mind, so I kind of found my way to that, and I knew your music a bit. I didn't know, I knew New Orleans raps, and I didn't know you guys as much within that. And I sat down and listened to it. So just to start, the first track, just 504, right off the bat. How do you feel like the music you play, this is for any it's kind of uniquely New Orleans, whatever that could be?
Well, definitely by the instrumentation. We use a sousaphone tuba for the bass. I play a snare drum separate from a drum set. Derek plays the bass drum and percussion. So that's authentically New Orleans, having two separate drummers and tuba. And then we're horns, tenor saxophone. So that's the basic meaning and makeup of the band. So that makes us New Orleans by instrumentation. And also that we're all from New Orleans. Our music is definitely, New Orleans in the sense of the instrumentation. We look for a more urban, contemporary sound.
So you...
Wow.
Especially, yeah. So music New Orleans in terms of instrumentation, and it fits into this brass band tradition in the city. Across generations, but even now, so many bands with these strains that run throughout, whether it's instrumentation, whether it's melodies, whether it's the feeling. What do you think is in terms of the role these brass bands play in the city? I know. Let's talk about a little bit about the role of the brass band in New Orleans tradition.
It's always been part of the New Orleans tradition. Brass bands are mobile, so you can basically parade around and play for any event. So they get hired to do a lot of outdoor events, so that's what makes it the most popular there. And we do jazz funerals, the social and pleasure club parades, and Mardi Gras parades, and backyard parades, and parading the people out of a wedding. So all of that type of stuff you can't do with a band that's plugged into the wall.
You mentioned the funeral parades, and I know that tradition, but for people who don't, can you just elaborate a little bit more on what that means, the role of the brass band in the funeral?
Yeah, in the funerals, the tradition is a New Orleans jazz funeral, where after you come out of the church, the band lines up outside in 2 rows, and they will bring the casket through the middle, playing a slow dirge, is what we call it. And then they'll load the casket in, and then we'll proceed behind the hearse. And the band is more like the front line, and the people behind us is like the second line. That's why they call these brass band parades the second line. And it's a great tradition. And then after we mourn for a little bit, then we pick up the beat and go into an upbeat version of the song. And it's basically to uplift people and then to celebrate the life of the person and try to, move on and give people something to be happy about.
And I think that celebration of life, something just in terms of musically, you mentioned instrumentation that comes across. There's something about brass that makes people get up and dance. What is it that you think about this music that uniquely just brings joy in terms of getting people up into the music?
I think it's just the energy, man. We pack the energy by everybody, you know, doing the horns, a lot of brass instruments, you know. We just pack a lot of energy. We bring a lot of energy. That's what we bring. So I think that's what gets people into the time, you know. And being that we play horns, and not too many people really playing horns like on a high energy level.
And with you guys specifically, I know we talked about the tradition of the brass band, but then some of these other influences that you guys want to bring in, whether it's different rhythms, whether it's hip hop, bringing rap in. And I've noticed that as I sat down and listened to this album versus other, why bring that in as kind of why emphasize that on this album?
Gotcha.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, basically, how it happened with us was, everybody wanted to start with the grassroots of tradition, going to like sisters and stuff like that. But one thing you have to always realize with anything, you have people that's younger, who want to kind of do music that they listen to on a regular basis. So for us, naturally, hip hop is, whatever we're in, R&B, funk, we like that type of music. So we figured just because we have a traditional instrumentation, that shouldn't limit us to just doing traditional music. Like I said, we always knew we had to start that first. We had to lay that foundation first. That's the only way to get respect in the industry is actually going through the mud, struggling to get where you have to get there. So, but like you said, the reason why we turned to that, because that was just us. We wanted to do music that's naturally flows out of us. We don't want to do country or western or whatever if that's not what we like to do. Now, if a guy in the band like that, or the band like the song, we'll do it. We'll do rock, country, whatever they want, if that's what we feel. We're not going to do anything that's just doing it, what we said, just prostituting, just do whatever we think is hot. We just do what we feel straight from the inside.
Well, and that leads to the question about the role of this music, whether it's touring, but especially within the city itself. Of a brass band as either something that you're kind of putting on display or something that's really alive and something that people are feeling. And I know that's not exactly a question, but how does it stay in that world of being something evolving, something alive, rather than something in a museum on display? No, yeah. How does it? Basically, how do you keep this music alive and evolving, and to what's really genuine to you?
Look at the name so Rebel Jail, we're sort of rebelling against everything that we see. It's like no disrespect. We're trying to create our own path. So that's basically what we're doing. So the way to do that is we spread it out and we're going to try to bring it everywhere. All over the world.
Even to Iowa. Well, there you go.
That's all we try to do, social media and everything. Try to get it viral.
Well, how does that, that pushing those boundaries of what this music can be, how does that get responded to within the city by this brass band tradition? Other bands and stuff like that.
Well, like I said, with anything that's when you're trying to do something new, you're always going to have some people that want to kind of keep the tradition alive. But you also have guys on the other side of it that's like, that's the type of music I like. Some people are scared to do it. Some people want to try to do different styles of music, but for years they've been told that this is how you have to do it in order to be respected, in order to do it. So, a lot of them look at, man, I thank you guys for doing it. Y'all guys open the door for us where once we get there, the door's already open, so all they have to do is just walk through. So we get the support. Like I said, with anything, you get support and you get other stuff on the other side. But for the most part, a lot of people can follow this man, they love him.
Okay, I'll wrap up. But just one last question. You mentioned the brass band as something that's still ingrained in all these traditions, and even within the ways that you've evolved it, it still stays grounded in that foundation. That it doesn't exist without that foundation in what works. what do you think when you look at, you know, the city as something that balancing this celebration and the hardship? Do you think that what you guys are doing instead of in terms of keeping it evolving is kind of pivotal in that process? You know what I mean? Like, is it helping that movement forward?
Yeah, what we're doing is definitely the city as a whole forward with the music. Like you said, it's very, what we do is very important and essential for the city. You know, with the whole brass band, what we're doing, we're just trying to take it beyond it. We're trying to put New Orleans on another scale. We want them to look at us more than a brass band. We want to be respected as, you know, the roots of somebody like that.
Right.
See, we want that type of title. We don't just want to be labeled as a brass band from New Orleans. We want to be put on a more urban scale, you know, top-notch band.
Get to travel.
Yeah, you know, so, but it's definitely essential to the city what we're doing. It's uplifting and it's needed.
Well, thank you guys. I know the food is waiting. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down.
All right, thank you, man. So, get with Jeremy and send us a copy.
Absolutely. It's going to air on Tuesday.